Well, a very good afternoon and welcome to our final keynote speaker session of this year's show. Before we go into that, a reminder that right at the end of this show, throughout the 2 days of the show, we've been having some little fireside chats with members of the British, the Blue Badge Guide people. It's been a long day. And Tess Pike, who is based up in Cumbria and is a Blue Badge Guide for the north and northeast of England. Afternoon. She'll be popping in just after this session finishes, about 2ish, 2:10, just to, if you want to find out more about what having a Blue Badge Guide is all about, how it brings a benefit to your tours. And she, as I say, she's a specialist. You may know her if you've done tours around the Lake District. But she covers the whole of the north of England now. That's afterwards. Now, our panellists for this wonderful session are all members of the Coach Tourism Association. The CTA was set up 30 years ago to bring the coach tourism industry together and to promote travel and tourism by coach. Today, the CTA has a membership of around 300, nearly half of whom are coach tour operators and tour wholesalers, and the other half is made up of industry supporters who help make up the coach tourism package. So hotel groups, tourist boards, major visitor attractions, ticket agencies, ferry operators, as well as professional advisors and B2B companies. So on our panel today, an august panel it most certainly is. At the far end is Robert Shaw, Chair of the CTA and Director of Coach Group Tour Operator Harry Shaw. Next to Robert is Lucy Osborne, Senior Product Manager with Leger Shearings Group. Next to Lucy is Chris Owens, Managing Director of North Wales-based Alpine Travel and a former President of the Confederation of Passenger Transport. Well, that's going back a bit now, isn't it, Chris? But there we are. Next to Chris is Lauren Clark, Marketing Manager with South Devon-based Stuart Line Cruises. And then at this end, sitting on the uncomfortable chair, because he is from Bodmin Jail and he's used to things like this, is Andrew Niven, who is Sales Manager at Bodmin Jail. We couldn't give you a cushion, I'm afraid, because you don't get that in prison, so there you go. Right, now to start with, I'm going to ask each of our panellists, starting with Robert, to introduce themselves and say a few words about what they do and what they offer groups. Robert.
Hello everybody, it's great to see so many people here taking interest in what we do. Just to introduce the CTA briefly to you, we act as a conduit for suppliers and operators to meet and discuss new ideas. So if you're not a member, please have a look at our website and come along and join us, because we are a one-stop shop for everybody to get together, talk, discuss, innovate, etc., etc. Now look, there's always something new coming along, attractions and rides. And it's essential that all of us bolster and improve our products all the time so that we can cater for new demands and also attract new customers. But before we go into that, I just have one point to make today. How good does it get? Just think about it. Coach tourism is ideally placed to take advantage of a whole set of coinciding circumstances. We deal with the right demographic. Our market segment is growing. The income of our demographic is growing. Remember that most people's pensions are linked to inflation. I wish our salaries were all linked to inflation, don't you? But most pensioners are. So, they've got enormous spending ability at the moment. And also, people can invest what they want into a pension now. Their income is growing and their interest is growing, particularly with today's interest rate rise. The return they get from the savings is inevitably growing. So think about all of those things as well. House price inflation makes people from our demographic, primarily over 50s, feel wealthy. And believe me, they want to spend that. Just look at the adverts for cruising in the national press at the moment. And all those cruises are filling up. So now is a time for us to make our products even more attractive than ever. I think what we should look at doing is getting clients off coaches more. We should give them more comfort. Coaches are now better than ever, by the way. And we should treat them as individuals who like to be in a group. But my final point really is, if we get it right, our clients may moan, but they always remain completely loyal. So we've got a great growing market. I look forward to seeing more and more customers on coaches in the future.
Thank you, Robert. Lucy.
So I'm Lucy from the Leger Shearings Group. We are two sister companies now, and we represent the UK's largest escorted tour operator. Leger is really big on the continental market, so UK outbound. Shearings has the European programme, but is also synonymous with domestic breaks, and that's everything from the seaside holidays to city breaks and everything in between. We've got a very broad market. We like to say we're for the over 50s, but that goes all the way up to the 90s, and we've got a few centenarians who travel with us as well. And as Robert says, a lot of very loyal customers. So for us, we're always looking for new tours and new trends to attract them to travel with us again and to attract new customers into the fold.
Lovely, thank you, Lucy. We'll ask you a bit later about what you're doing to refresh your programmes. Let's turn to Chris. Chris.
Good afternoon.
Are you on?
Are we on? Sorry, okay. Yeah, good afternoon. My name's Chris Owens. I'm the Managing Director, there we go, Managing Director at Alpine Travel. So we're a coach tour operator based in North Wales, and we also own a coach holiday company called Jones Holidays, again, situated in North West Wales. So I suppose following on from Lucy and Robert's comments, very, very much in a similar vein, we carry, you know, in the old days we'd have said the Blue Rinse Brigade. We carry a much older demographic, but I think one thing that we as an industry often forget is actually the value of the younger pound. The grey pound is incredibly important to us and incredibly valuable, but I think 50% fewer people are passing their driving tests today than 20 years ago. So the number of young people who are now looking for a more sustainable travel option. Students travel to and from university or, you know, with the likes of Megabus and National Express. They're used to traveling by coach. And, you know, it's quite dangerous for us to forget this marketplace. And I think it's very important that not only are we ensuring that our product is suitable for the older demographic, but also we need to be looking for new, more exciting prospects, sustainable prospects for a new, younger audience who, if we get it right, will stay with us and remain on the public transport model for decades ahead.
Thanks, Chris. And over to Lauren.
I'm Lauren, and I'm from Stuart Line Cruises. I kind of handle the group booking side of things as well as the marketing. Stuart Line Cruises are based in Exmouth, which is in Devon. We're a very small family-run passenger boat company, so we do boat trips and sightseeing tours throughout the year with different sorts of cruises on offer in different seasons. We've been members of the Coach Tourism Association since 2015. I looked back in the archives, so quite a while now, and we find huge value in our membership with them. I think kind of touching upon what these guys have said as operators, obviously I'm a supplier to the industry, and also from speaking to quite a lot of people today and at various other events that I've been to so far this year, there's a real feeling that people are quite hungry for new ideas. So whilst a lot of things, if they're not broken, don't try and fix them, there's a lot of things that work, and that's kind of going to stay consistent. So for example, with us, our River X cruises are not affected by the weather, and they run come rain or shine throughout the year. We know that they work really well, but people are really hungry for new ideas, and also with the kind of younger audience that are kind of coming through and starting to embark on the coach travel a bit more, they are really looking for quite immersive experiences. They want to see, and you know, they don't just want to sit back and look at things. They want to really see and experience and feel those things, hear the sounds, you know, have a really immersive experience. And so that's what we're really trying to do. And we're kind of trying to move with that and introduce new things with that as well.
Lovely, thank you, Lauren. And sitting in the uncomfortable chair, but I noticed with stripes on your top and stripes on your shoes, I can see what the brand is, but you're still not having a cushion. Anyway, Andrew.
Hi, my name is Andrew. I'm the sales manager at Bodmin Jail. For those of you that don't know, Bodmin Jail was originally in a Georgian prison. It was then knocked down and rebuilt by the Victorians. The last prisoner left Bodmin Jail 100 years ago, virtually to the day. And since then, it's had various different incarnations, and for many years was a very tired old tourist attraction with a few dusty mannequins with one arm hanging off. And many who've been in the past probably think, oh, Bodmin Jail, not really for me. Now, we came along just before COVID, so our timing was absolutely brilliant, and we invested £11 million in the attraction, which is now a completely immersive experience with a 25-minute walk through experience where we have cinematics, holographics, a virtual tour guide takes you through. We have wind machines and water that's sprayed on the guests. And at the end of that 25 minutes, a virtual judge sentences you to hang in Bodmin Jail. And then you actually enter the jail itself, and each cell tells a different story. And you can either go through self-guided, or you can go through on a guided tour with one of our award-winning heritage tour guides. We're very proud of what we've achieved there, and I was brought on board last year really to reach out to the coaches and the travel industry, because I think a lot of people, especially when they come to Cornwall, they have the 5 things that they've always done, and I think a lot of the guests that you bring are crying out for something new to do. So we're the new kids on the block, and very interesting to hear feedback over the last couple of days that a lot of the coach industry is finding that attractions aren't that interested in them anymore and are limiting the amount of people that can come. I'd just like to say I'm the complete opposite. If you want to give me the problem of 20 coaches arriving at Bodmin Jail tomorrow, I'll be your best friend for life. So yeah, really great place, and we're here to do business.
Lovely, thank you very much. And I think what we see here is the broad church of membership of the Coach Tourism Association. And as Robert said, you know, if you want to get into an organisation that really is promoting travel and tourism by coach, the CTA is for you. And Robert, you know, as chair, you're obviously well aware of how the tourism industry is bouncing back after the hiatus of the last few years or so. But with an overview, how are things changing as you see it?
Well, the key thing to remember, I think, there's a mic on. I don't think the travel or coach travel has ever gone away, really. I mean, most of us managed to operate some tours throughout the pandemic. I mean, we were pretty functioning, probably 50% normal during the first year of the pandemic, and that's continued and continued, really. So, yeah, we've managed to adapt our products and adapt what we do so that we were able to operate. I mean, as tour operators, I know all of us are making more and more use of social media now, so that we're getting the message over to our client base in that way. We continually emphasise our green credentials. I mean, our particular client base might not be as interested as perhaps some other, but I'm sure there is like parent pressure now, where the grandchildren, the children are constantly saying to them, well, perhaps you should look at your green footprint, perhaps you should think about it and think about our future rather than yours. So, yeah, that's the... I mean, another thing we're doing all the time is developing new and interesting itineraries. As I touched on earlier, I think a key point about the products we offer is to get clients off coaches more, really. So Bodmin Jail is a perfect example of that. And I think it sounds a wonderful experience. And also get to places where it's immersive, not just walking around and looking at old things, but actually getting involved. So that's absolutely essential, isn't it, really? And finally, I think we should emphasise that we're part of what I call the holiday mix. I mean, so many clients now, I think, want to take a holiday every month. They might not want to take a coach holiday every month, but they want to go away every month. And we offer a fantastic value for money way of doing that, don't we? So, yeah, that's something we should all point out, is the great value for money that we offer. And also, wouldn't it be great if we could make coach travel more fashionable? I know sometimes there is still a little bit of a stigma about going on a coach holiday. People kind of don't mention it to people that they're going away on a coach, but I think it'd be lovely, wouldn't it, to people to be quite proud of the fact that they're taking a coach holiday. And I think in that way, perhaps we could look at using some more social influencers. I don't think Kim Kardashian would be much interested in it, would she? But there might be people out there who would. So I think that's something that we should do more of in the future.
Well, perhaps the Coach Tourism Association, with its many connections, can find somebody famous and not Simon Calder.
Well, Holly Willoughby might be interested.
She might.
You never know.
Okay. Lucy, Leger Shearings, obviously, before the merger, in any case, 2 of the best known names in the industry. You have a balancing act to ensure, to continue what you know your customers like, the traditional market, and then also bring in new products to attract possibly new audiences. How are you balancing that? How's it working?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for us, when it comes to managing itineraries, there's always 3 real tactics there. and one is following the trend. So this year is as I'm sure many people will know, is there's a real resurgence for the royal family, and love them or hate them, they're in the news a lot for various different things, and that obviously came from last year through, you know, the good and the sad things that happened last year, and obviously what is coming up in May as well. So working with people like the Royal Collection Trust or Historic Royal Palaces, both of who are members of the CTA as well and have got fantastic events on every year, but have really heightened it this year, that's really helping us follow the trends of what is popular. But then the other things I think is, as Lauren said, if something's not broke, don't fix it. But looking to capitalise on those existing partnerships. So we have lots of cruises with Lauren, and our customers love it. So what we've then done is bring those into the winter, as she mentioned, that you're year-round, aren't you? So we now have winter cruises with them as well. So it's looking at what works and seeing how you can do more of that. And then to Andrew's point about those new things, you know, we have so many customers to Cornwall, and I'm sure they've all been to the Isles of Scilly. I'm sure they've all been to the Eden Project, and they are fantastic, and you should definitely go to those things. But actually looking for those off the beaten path, those more experiential things that people probably haven't done before. And that way there's the balance for everything. Those first-time customers who kind of want the bucket list moment, and then those who've travelled and are looking for the hidden gems. So that's really the way we would approach it.
Thank you very much. I mean, Chris, somebody once described me, you know, you've been there, you've done that, you've got the T-shirt, you've probably got several T-shirts. There's not a lot you don't know about this industry. In fact, there's probably nothing you don't know. Is that a double negative? Anyway, about this industry. But I mean, listening to what the guys are saying, and we've heard this morning and yesterday on some of the other panel sessions, guided tours apparently are the big thing at the moment. They're the most popular thing in terms of research. That came from Euromonitor yesterday morning. And people are looking for new experiences. Do you find you're having the same challenge in balancing the traditional, because as you said, it's a very traditional market that you're in, and you're part of North Wales, and balancing that with actually trying to find things that are really good but might not be commercially viable? How is that working in this post-pandemic world?
Okay, that's a difficult question, isn't it? Thank you, Stuart. I appreciate that.
Pleasure.
Yeah, I suppose it's been said twice. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But what we've always got to be very mindful of is the world in which we exist is continually changing. The internet has meant nowadays that everybody is aware of everything. I remember a few years ago, I had a walking holiday to Machu Picchu in Peru. Fabulous. But actually, when we got there, Machu Picchu was actually really quite disappointing. It looked just like the photos. But what was really important to us, you know, there was a llama there and there were small buildings, and it was like every other image I'd seen on Facebook leading up to this holiday. But the guided walking tour to Machu Picchu was out of this world. And I think what we're looking at today, experiential tourism really is the key. People don't want to just see it, but they want to understand the culture that's behind it, and whether it's industrial heritage, cultural heritage. People actually want to understand what has made what we have today be relevant. You know, we're very, very fortunate in North Wales. You know, our tourist sector in North Wales is absolutely booming, but industrial heritage is really on the increase, and recently we've been awarded UNESCO Heritage Site status for our slate industry, which is a huge, huge accreditation. But actually, it's raising awareness of something that's all around us. We can all see these slate heaps. But now, with the National Museum of Wales and the Slate Museum, getting people inside and they can understand, they can split the slates and actually understand the lives of people behind it, that just brings another bit of our world to life. And I think this is what we're really looking for. Let's be honest. So we as an operator run a city sightseeing franchise in Llandudno. Whenever any of us go on holiday today, we'll end up in a city, and 9 times out of 10 we'll take an open-top bus tour, because we can walk around and see the Trevi Fountain and this, that and the other. But actually, we want to learn about the city in which we're going to be enjoying a weekend's travel. So I think people are just far more savvy than they probably were 20, 30 years ago, when they were happy to sit there, drive through the lochs and glens and see some beautiful scenery. Today we want to really understand and get under the skin. And that's our domestic tourists, that's our younger tourists, and very, very much so our inbound tourism. And inbound tourism into the UK is absolutely booming. Yeah, and we've, as Lucy says, got to follow those trends. But of course, that's what's key today. What's it going to be in 5 years' time? Where are we coming in 5 years' time? How do we attract visitors for our next products? Yeah, so great question, but experiential tourism, absolutely, that's the way forwards.
Indeed.
At the moment.
Thank you. And I know if you've been to Exmouth in Devon, or indeed in the estuary, you'll have seen the red, yellow and blue liveried vessels of Stuart Line Cruises. You'd think, Lauren, that there can't be very much you can do to refresh the product. Everything's been tried, going out bird watching, going out further out to sea. Everything's there. How are you refreshing your product? And because I'm going to assume you are.
Yeah. I mean, there's no denying we're really, really fortunate in terms of our natural surroundings, the rich natural surroundings that we have. We're situated within the East Devon AONB. We're situated on the doorstep to the Jurassic Coast, which is England's only natural UNESCO World Heritage Site. And then the thing that gives us that year-round capacity is the estuary, which is an internationally recognised wildlife refuge. It's a Ramsar site of special scientific interest. And we have those foundations, and we kind of work to offer cruises around those things at different times of the season. So the guided bird watching cruises in the winter, and we're finding that that's kind of an ever-growing market. People are taking a huge amount of interest in the natural environments which surround us. I think that's always been the case to a certain extent, but I think even more so after the pandemic. People are really appreciating being outdoors, and they're really appreciating nature. And going back to what you were saying, people are wanting to learn about heritage and culture and how things have come to be the way that they are today. And again, the fact that we've got the UNESCO site, the Jurassic Coast, we do the Jurassic Coast cruises along there so that we can teach people about the history and the geology and how the Earth was formed. And it's fascinating. And again, it's that immersive experience. It enables people to get really up close and personal. The Jurassic Coast is not about the cliff tops. You can see a great deal from the Southwest Coast Path, but actually the real Jurassic Coast is seen in the cliffs. It's seen in the lines of the cliffs and the Triassic rock, and that's really what you have to get on a boat and see from the water. In terms of what we're trying to do to ensure that things are new and fresh and ever evolving, because that's what we have to do, in order to keep people's interest, we are looking at ways to keep doing what we're doing, maintain what we know works, maintain what we know has kind of led us to where we are today. But mainly, I would say it's through the partnerships that we have with other people. So one of the things that we pride ourselves on hugely as a business is the fact that we work so well with other attractions in Devon and other accommodation providers. I've been with the business for around 6 years full time, and it's really shown me, I've learned so much about the value of working together. Nobody's going to just come all the way to beautiful, lovely Devon for a really exceptional boat trip, although I would highly recommend it. They need the full package. They need the really great way of getting here. They need the accommodation. They need other things to do whilst they're here. They need great food. And I think it's really about working with others. So we're members of Devon's Top Attractions. It's an association for only the highest quality attractions in Devon, and it gives us a quality accreditation. And we work together, so we offer joint tickets. So we try and introduce new joint tickets with some of those attractions. For example, the Donkey Sanctuary in Sidmouth. So we offer a joint ticket with them, and they come for a lovely boat trip with us in the morning, and then the group then goes on to the Donkey Sanctuary, has a look round, a guided tour, a delicious cream tea, with the cream first, obviously, and then the jam, the Devon way, the only way. Let's not start an argument. And also another example is our joint ticket with Seaton Tramway, which has just been introduced for this year. So again, two really, really great products. And it just, again, it's adding something new, and it's about making an easy sell for operators, and that's at the end of the day what we're all trying to achieve. Themes obviously work really well. People love a transport theme, and it just slots in there really nicely. So I guess it's really about that, and it's about also listening and having those conversations, listening to operators, finding out what they're looking for, and kind of responding to that and being open and willing to for new ideas.
Okay, thank you very much. Of course, Devon's great, but there's another county next door that arguably might be even better. If only they had a jail. If only they had a jail. Because you've recently sort of recently opened.
Yep.
You're not going to be refreshing very much at the minute, although by the sound of it, the guests are being refreshed by the water.
Yeah.
Where do you go with your product in the months, years ahead?
So where we see it is we offer throughout the year various different themed versions of the experience. So for example, we're just about to start the You're Pulling My Leg tour, which runs from April the 1st onwards. And the guides will vary the presentation based on, Christmas we do a different one. Obviously Halloween is huge for us. We do a lot there. This Christmas, for example, we're doing what we're calling the Frost Fair. So we're basically going to turn the courtyard into a very traditional German market. We've also got a Krampus experience. I don't know if any of you have heard of Krampus. In Eastern Europe, he's a massive anti-Father Christmas figure, and there's a thing called Krampus Night, where Krampus comes in and checks whether your children have been good or bad. And he does this by licking the sweat off their brow. And he's a cloven-hooved monster that comes in. So we thought that, because we like to do things a little bit different in the jail, we thought that could work for us, and we were approached by a group of young actors who've got an Arts Council grant, and they're going to turn a part of the jail into Krampus's grotto, and they've got a Hollywood prosthetics company making a Krampus outfit for them. So we're always trying to do different things. Our aim is always to try and do it a little bit differently, and not just be quite the same as anybody else could do it. So everything we do with a slant, I guess is what we're trying to say. So we're always coming up with different ideas. And the other thing we love to do is, if we're working with tour groups, tour organisers, tour companies, if a group is coming with a particular, for example, we had a group from America that were very much into Gothic literature. So we designed a tour for them that was about, Mary Shelley and various other, Gothic themes. Or we have another group that's over that was about the Georgians. They wanted to find out about the Georgian bloody code. I don't know if you know, but in Georgian times you could get hung for vandalising a fish pond, believe it or not. So whichever group we've got, we'll try and do something different for them. So again, that's how we kind of feel we're refreshing it. So
okay.
But with the core of the experience that we have always there.
Yes, I must admit Krampus wasn't the answer I was expecting there, but well done. So it's very good. And again, what a broad brush. Now, we're nearly at the end of our time, but I think we've got time for a couple of questions if anybody would like to ask our illustrious band. Someone's going to ask something. Go on, Andy, you're going to ask something? There's a microphone coming.
We touched on today about the younger generation, and today I've brought with me a couple of my colleagues from Hilton who are part of the younger generation, and obviously throughout the day they've opened their eyes as to, crikey, how is this all included in a coach tour and where does it all fit in? So for them especially, how are we marketing, or how could we start to think? I mean, I know you alluded to Holly Willoughby, but actually it's not a bad idea. But we do definitely need to think seriously about how we're going to attract the younger generation to the coach industry and those coach holidays, because these youngsters will definitely do some of, the Bodmin Jail was definitely getting a lot of nods. So I think there's lots to attract them, but it's how we market them in, whether it is on TikTok or whether it is on Instagram or however we do it. But we possibly do need to brainstorm that a little bit more and how we start doing that.
Which of our coach operators would like to pick up on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, as Robert mentioned, the sustainability aspect of it, I know is, as you said, it might not be so key to our current demographics, but actually it's going to become a given, and we need to be ahead of that conversation. And I think one of the talks earlier, coach tourism is by far the most sustainable mode of transport, and we should be really thinking about those green credentials. Something that we've done is all of our drivers now have iPads or Androids, and that's how we give them their paperwork and tickets and time-ins. So we've sort of done away with huge reams of paper to really lean into the fact that we do have those environmental credentials, and I think that has appeal certainly to a younger demographic. So I think that's getting the noise about that is one thing, but I think also the perception that maybe I don't necessarily want to go on holiday with 40 other people and do exactly the same thing. I think it's about independence and about making the difficult easy. Not everybody has to be herded around to do the same thing. If that's what you want, and you want the companionship, and you want to, explore places with other people, that's absolutely part of it. But then actually having, I suppose, tailored experiences. So we have lots of optional excursions or add-ons, or maybe you're on holiday in Torquay and the theatre is just across the road, or in North Wales and at Venue Cymru, then maybe we can get tickets for that and give somebody a more tailored experience. So it just kind of caters to that independence a little bit more.
I think
Okay.
it's a bit of a multi-pronged attack as well with that.
Hang on.
Hello?
Yep, it's on.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Have I got it? Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it's a multi-pronged attack. I don't think there's one area that will win. I mean, we did a lot of work reaching out to influencers, for want of a better word, and we did some research on the ones that we thought might be the right ones to connect with, and we approached them, and we just basically said, look, come through the jail, free of charge. All we want you to do is to put something on YouTube or on your channel or whatever about it. And yeah, I mean, it could be argued you're letting somebody through for free who could have charged, but ultimately we're open anyway. I can take 2,000 people a day through the attraction, so if 4 come through for nothing, it's worth it if they then do a really nice YouTube post that kind of goes a bit viral, or lots of people watch it. And then I think there's the whole TikTok thing of trying to be the next Brindley Mega Chippy and have something that just takes a life of its own. But I think if there was one silver bullet, we'd all fire it. I think it's really just trying lots and lots of different things and just seeing which one works for you, really. But you're right, there's more than just the traditional routes, isn't there?
Okay.
However, I must say, for us as an attraction, the best way I've found to get to the right people has been joining the CTA, to be honest, because I sent loads of emails, did all the digital stuff, drove Lucy crazy with emails and bits and pieces, but it was far easier to drive Lucy crazy in person, at an event, and get myself in that, in that sort of tranche of people that can make the right decision. So if any other attractions are watching this that aren't a member of the CTA, sure, you might look at it and say, well, why do I want to join it? I would have to say it's probably the best organisation I've joined to actually gain business for Bodmin Jail.
We might be sitting in the least comfortable chair, but that's a strong message to probably bring our panel session to an end. Can you thank our panel, please, in the usual manner? Thank you all very much indeed. And don't forget that we have Tess Pike, who's our Blue Badge Guide. She'll be just coming onto the stage in a moment to have a little chat about the joys of being a Blue Badge Guide and why you should hire her and others in the north of England. So if you want to stay, just come over to that, and we'll be doing that in a few minutes' time. Thank you very much indeed for coming and joining us this afternoon.